In this lesson, we're going to continue our section on problem solving and unit analysis, part 2. Specifically, we'll understand the three-step method to solving problems with the acronym of USE or USE, and then we'll use unit analysis to solve problems. So the three-step problem solving is USE for understand, solve, and explain. Understand the problem means understand what information is given, understand what you're being asked to do, and in that I would say that in this step you should also start forming a strategy as to how you're going to solve the problem. Step 2 is you apply that strategy to solving, and in step 3 you explain, does your answer make sense within the context of the problem? So when you get to the final answer, don't just circle it or enter it and move on. Ask yourself if it makes sense. If it doesn't, go back to your solving or understanding of the problem to see if anything is incorrect. Example 1, we'll talk about reasoning with currency. So this would be a question of, does it make sense? So let's say you're given $1 is worth about 48.05 Philippine pesos. So does it make sense then to say that 1 Philippine peso is worth more than $1? Well, if $1 is equal to 48.05 Philippine pesos, it means that a peso is worth the fraction of $1. So you don't even need to know how much it translates to from Philippine pesos to dollars to know that using reasoning it would be worth a fraction of $1. Okay, specifically what you could do is you could take one Philippine peso and divide it by 48.05, okay, because that's what we're given. And this would give us 0.0208. So this would be 1 Philippine peso per dollar. Okay, so it's not worth more than $1. Example 2, comparing prices. So fabric was bought at X Mart because their price of $3 per square foot was better than Y Mart's price of $14 per square yard. And note that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So before you can even compare these prices, the units have to talk to each other. So you can't compare $3 per square foot to $14 per square yard because square feet and square yards are very different from each other. The $3 looks better for sure, but the units don't match, so there's no comparison yet. So what your task is in this problem is you're being asked to determine which price is better. And in order to determine that, your units have to talk to each other. So either square feet needs to go to square yards or square yards needs to go to square foot. Either way is okay. So the way that I'm going to solve this problem is I'm going to take the $3 per square foot and convert it to square yards so that I can compare. So when you're writing this out, remember that $3 per square foot can be written as $3 per feet squared, which is the same as $3 feet times feet, okay? Feet squared means that there's 2 of them on the bottom being multiplied. So that's very important when we're dealing with dimensional analysis and converting units. So to set this up, we have $3 per square feet, and I'm going to write it as feet times feet. Square feet is what that means. And then we're given our conversion factor that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So we want our feet to cancel and we want to be left with yards in the denominator. So feet is going to go in the numerator. And I'm going to write it twice because notice I have 2 to cancel out. So both have to be accounted for, which means I have 2 yards in order to end up with square yards in the denominator. Okay, we're given 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So in this case, we would multiply 3 times 3 times 3. We'd be left with dollars because our feet are going to cancel. Both of them have to cancel. And then on the bottom, we're going to be left with yards or square yards. So this turns out to be $27 per square yard. Okay, so now we're able to discuss which store has the better price on fabric, and in this case it would be Y Mart at $14 per square yard. Next, we're going to discuss surface area and volume. So let's say we have a lap pool, so a pool meant for swimming laps, with a length of 25 yards, a width of 20 yards, and a depth of 3 yards. Find the pool's surface area and total volume of water the pool holds. Okay, so what I like to do with these types of problems, specifically dealing with measurement, is I like to draw a picture. Although I'm not a very good artist, the visuals do help me. So let's say we have a pool. It's a lap pool, so I'm assuming it's rectangle. And we're given that it's 25 yards by 20 yards. And it has a depth of 3 feet. So it's going to go down. I'm going to try to draw in blue to help with the visual aid here. And this is our pool filled with water. 3 yards, not 3 feet. Okay, so the surface area is the area just at the water level, the surface level area. So our surface area here is the 20 yards times 25 yards. And notice its area, so our unit is still going to be squared, and this comes out to be 500 yards squared. So the surface area is just, let me see if I can draw it off to the side, would be like just this top part of the pool. Okay, the volume is length times width times height, or you take the area times the depth, and you will also get to the volume. And remember that with volume, our unit should be cubed. So for volume, we're going to multiply 25 yards times 20 yards times 3 yards, and this gives us 1,500 yards cubed, or cubic yards. Next, let's say, so we're going to continue, so keep the last problem up or in your mind. If water costs $5.19 per 1,000 gallons, so 1,000 gallons is $5.19, how much does it cost to fill the pool? Note that 1 cubic yard is equal to 201.974 gallons, and round your answer to the nearest cent. Okay, so let's talk about understanding the problem. So we have a pool, we have a lap pool. It's probably at some sort of swim center that holds, or that has a volume of 1,500 cubic yards. Let's say the pool is completely empty. They're getting ready for a competition. They need to fill this pool. How much is it going to cost? Well, it costs $5.19 per 1,000 gallons. So let's say the pool was 2,000 gallons. Then it would cost $10.38, and so on and so forth. Okay, but there's a couple of things going on here. The volume that we calculated is in cubic yards, and our cost is in gallons. So we need to convert one to the other. I'm going to convert cubic yards to gallons here. So first, let's convert our volume into gallons. Okay, so we were given 1,500 cubic yards, and we're given that 1 cubic yard. I'm just going to use G for gallon. So 1 cubic yard is equivalent to 201.974 gallons. So 201.974. And I'm going to break this up into a couple steps, but you could use the same setup in order to calculate cost, but I'll do that in step 2. So in this case, we would take 1,500 times 201.974, and this gives us 302,961 yards cubed cancels, and we have gallons. Now notice that I only wrote 1 cubic yard on the bottom. I didn't do it 3 times. That's because our conversion already accounted for cubic yards. Okay. So now in order to determine cost, it's $5.19 per 1,000 gallons. So when we determine cost, our units is going to end in dollars. So we have 302,961 gallons. And then our cost is, let me do this in a different color, $5.19 per 1,000 gallons. So remember that word per means division. So we have $5.19. 500 would be a lot. Per 1,000 gallons. Okay, and so what we would do then is we would take 302,961 times 519 divided by 1,000 to account that it's per 1,000 gallons. So 302,961 times 519 divided by 1,000, and rounded to the nearest cent is 2 decimal places. So this would give us $1,572.36. Quite a cost to fill a pool. Okay, our last example is going to deal with currency, and the reason I wanted to do this one is to talk about this table below that you will see in the online homework system. So use the currency exchange rates in the table for this question. So let's say you arrive in Mexico City with $440. How many pesos can you buy? So the way that this table works is you're looking at the currency type. So in this case, we're dealing with Mexican pesos and dollars. Dollars is already accounted for in this table, and so we're specifically looking at the row that pertains to Mexican pesos. When it says dollars per foreign, this means that it's $0.6584 per 1 Mexican peso. So let me write that down. This is $0.0684 is equal to 1 Mexican peso, and I'm just going to abbreviate it because I'm going to run out of space. Okay. When this says foreign per dollars, you would start with what's given in this column here. Oops. The 1519. So this is 15.19 Mexican pesos per $1. Okay. So I'm going to use a different color. Is equal to $1. Okay, so I would recommend understanding those two columns first before jumping into the calculations. So we are given $440 and our goal is to get to pesos, so you can use either conversion factor. So we're starting with dollars. Okay, dollars would go on the bottom and our Mexican pesos is going to go on the top so that we end in Mexican pesos. So the first way to do this is you could take 1519, 15.19, I don't know why I keep forgetting the decimal, is equal to $1, and you would just multiply straight across to get 440 times 15.19, which would be 6,683.6. So if you had $440, you could buy 6,683.6 Mexican pesos, or if you use the other conversion factor, Mexican pesos, I'm doing it all in blue. Let's switch this to pink. You would have 1 Mexican peso to 0.06584. And so in this case, you would take 440 and divide it by 0.06584, and you would get about the same, 6,682.87. And so both of those would be acceptable. The one in green might be a little bit safer because notice it's given in $1 unit of 1, and we're starting with dollars as well. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.